Hey Guitar Pedals, this is SlimLove with my rig rundown. I'm playing through my 2003 Fender American Strat and my Fender Blues Junior amp, and I thought I would just walk you guys through the signal chain I've got here and tell you a little bit about some of the settings I like to use each of the effects with. So starting things off, I've got my TC Electronic Polytune 2 Mini Tuner running into the Dunlop Crybaby Classic. After the wah, you've got the SP compressor. I leave this on almost always. I really like the way it affects the tone. So there's a three-way switch there: low, medium, high. I kind of just like to leave it on low, a little dialed past noon on the blend knob, just to get it a little bit of compressed kind of boosted sound. So this is it without it. And then kicked on. So a little warmer kind of compressed, obviously, sound. So yeah, that's on most of the time. Going into the next one, you've got the TS-808 Tube Screamer, and then that's running into the Soul Food. So I like to use the Soul Food quite a bit too. I leave the drive dialed down all the way almost all the time because I use it more of like a clean boost sort of pedal. And then when that's engaged, I'll use that for like rhythm work, and then I'll kick on the Tube Screamer just to give it a little more edge for lead type of stuff. So I don't often use the Tube Screamer by itself. I think the distorted type of sound it has sounds better when kind of running through the Soul Food. So here's the Soul Food. And then with the Tube Screamer, so usually, like I said, use the two of those in conjunction. After that, you've got the Black Arts Toneworks Pharaoh Fuzz. This one's really cool because it's got a lot of versatility as far as the different sounds you can dial in. There's the two tone knobs at the top here, the low-high gain switch, and then a three-way toggle for the different clipping. So I've got it set to low right now. Kind of sounds like that. Silicon. And then switching it to high. It's a little more aggressive. So that one is pretty cool as far as the different things it can do. After the fuzz, got the modulation starting. So the first one is the Mr. Black Guillemando Phaser. This one's pretty cool. It's an 8-stage phaser, so it's got more of like your standard kind of phase sounds set in right here. And then if you turn the bonus knob, it gets a little more pronounced and intense. I like to use that with the fuzz underneath it quite a bit. I just think it sounds cool when the phaser is kind of affecting, all the fuzz frequencies. But my favorite thing to do is to turn the width all the way down on the phaser, and then the bonus knob acts as more of a filtering effect, which sounds really cool with the fuzz as well. So we'll turn the width down, and now you're just getting the filter. There's no sweep of the wave. So you can hear how that changes. After the phaser, you've got your Mr. Black Tunnel Worm through zero flanger. So this one is pretty cool. I liked the option of having the through zero to give it kind of like that jet taking off sort of sound, but I don't often, have it set to that. It's just nice to have the ability to do so. So I've turned the zero knob to about 4 o'clock. Once you go past 3, it starts to kick into that sort of through zero territory. You can hear it a lot more pronounced with the fuzz under it. And then if you dial it back, you can get close to it without actually cutting the sound out. So it's got a pretty wide range. I often leave it set to the very subtle Electric Mistress sort of chorusy kind of effect. It works well for a lot of the Police, Andy Summers kind of stuff I like playing. So if you, just throw a sustain chord under that, it sounds pretty great. Especially with the carbon copy engaged. Next is the Analog Man Mini Chorus. This one I opted to add in the mix knob and the 3-way toggle switch. So it just gives you some different depths as far as the chorus affects the sound. This is the lightest, medium, and then the deep switch, which can get pretty intense if you adjust the rate and the depth there. It's more pronounced. Again, nice to have the options, but I often, leave it set to the medium setting. It sounds really great with everything just at about noon. So that's a pretty cool one. Next, you've got the Villanova Vibe from Mojo Hand Effects. Really a big fan of this one. It also has a very wide range as far as the sweep it can get. I think this is kind of your more standard sort of vibe setting right now. In addition to the speed and depth, it also has a tone control, mix knob, and volume knob. Usually I leave the tone set up pretty high, but if you've got like a fuzz underneath it and you need to cut out some of the higher frequencies, it's pretty good for that. Just an extra layer of customization if you need to take out some of the aggressiveness there. After the Vibe is the Black Cat Mini Trem. This one also has the speed and depth, and then tone and boost. So the tone control can get pretty swampy if you set it back. To very bright. Set just a little past noon. Very deep cutout if you switch the depth all the way up. And then the cool thing about this one is it's got a speed knob, so if you have a speed switch, it halves or doubles the rate. So if you have it dialed into the tempo of a song you're playing with and you want to switch it up but still stay in time, you can do that, so it still goes with the beat, but just has a different sort of effect. So this is it at half speed, and then doubled. So that's a pretty cool one. After that is the delay pedals. So the carbon copy I've had the longest. It's just an awesome sounding analog delay. Definitely one of my favorites. Like I said, I think it was my second pedal after the Crybaby. I recently got the Alexander History Lesson Volume 2 because I wanted a digital delay, and I was looking for something that still had the analog capabilities, thinking I would just have one delay pedal. So I bought the History Lesson. It's got the digital, analog, and tape echo settings, and while it sounds amazing, I feel like the carbon copy still has the slight edge with just that warm, analog kind of sound. So I decided to keep both of them and had to rearrange my board a little bit so I could make room. But unintentionally, it's kind of cool having both of them on there. You can get some sort of echoing back effects with both engaged. So I'll show you the carbon copy first. So it's just got that warm analog. And then the modulation switch sounds really great too on this one. So with both of them engaged, you get some cool, like I said, sort of slapping back echoing effects between the two. So here's just the carbon copy. And then with the Alexander History Lesson, depending on how you adjust that. You get some cool sounding effects there. I currently have it set to the digital. When I use them together, I like to, not have the history lesson color the carbon copy's tone anymore. So the digital kind of gives it that clear, accurate, duplication. So this is what it sounds like without the carbon copy. It's got a lot of features on here, so you've got your repeats, feedback, the time, and then the mix knob. Noon is full, wet, dry. And you can actually go all dry if you wanted. And then the mod knob is cool because at noon there's no modulation, but then going to the left or right has a different modulation effect. So right is more of a vibrato kind of, and then the other way is going to be more chorusy, which is easier to hear on the other styles of delay. So going to the analog, so you can hear with some chorusing modulation on it. And then vibrato the other way. Just a subtle. The cool thing about the Volume 2 version of the history lesson is if you hold on the bypass knob and use the time switch, it acts as a tone control. So you can actually dial in some darker repeats, which I think kind of resembles more of the carbon copy style of analog delay. The same goes for the tape echo. I kind of like it to have that darker, warmer, repeating sort of style. The last function on the history lesson is the tap tempo. So that's the other switch here. And if you hold it down, it actually does the subdivisions too. So right now I've got quarter note repeats. Holding it down switches it to eighth note. And then you've got dotted eighth note. And then the last thing tied to this is actually this the micro tap here, which is made by Analog Endeavors. So I just got the wire running through under there to the Alexander pedal, but the knob or the switch acts in the same way. So you can tap the tempo here if I don't feel like stepping on other effects trying to reach this all the way to the top, and then it also acts as the subdivision switch if you hold it down. So same functionality there. After the delays, I've got the Blue Sky Reverb. I think everybody's pretty familiar with this, but it's just a great sounding versatile reverb pedal. So I often leave it on that kind of like medium plate style sound. But you can obviously get pretty big sounds with it too. Some modulation. setting. And then the shimmer is cool to have. I don't use it all the time, but every once in a while it's fun to switch on. The last setting after plate and room is the spring style reverb. And then obviously you've got the low and high tone controls, the pre-delay to kind of give it the offset sort of sound if you have a larger space dialed in. So very customizable with the reverb sounds you get out of that. And then last in the chain is just the Ditto looper. So obviously that's the X2. The right switch acts as the effects and dedicated stop switch. So the effects are the reverse delay, or excuse me, reverse loop and half speed. So kind of just, again, like every other pedal on the board, fun to have some additional features if I ever wanted to use them. But yeah, that thing sounds pretty great, very accurate in the loop quality. So it's fun to get some of the different effects going on together and creating some layered type of stuff. But yeah, I think that about covers it. So I appreciate you guys sitting through all that. I've posted my board a couple times in the subreddit, so it was pretty cool to be able to walk you through it and how I like to do it. But yeah, as you can tell, use it for a lot of police style stuff. Very David Gilmour influence, so a lot of Pink Floyd type of sounds. I use it for Jeff Beck type of style as well. So definitely big on like the classic rock type of guys. But I think I've pretty much got everything covered here. So thanks again for checking it out.